Shalom everyone, and we're going to study today Parashat Ki-Tisa. Parashat Ki-Tisa starts in the book of Shemot, Exodus, chapter 30, verse 11. It's the longest parasha in the whole Torah, I think, almost the longest, but very complicated. However, on one hand, this is the most difficult parasha in the whole Torah. On the other hand, this is the most amazing parasha of all the Torah because of what we're going to learn today. Why am I saying that? Is because basically, according to the Kabbalistic teachings, when we're talking about the evolution of humanity, we are talking about majorly about two most important dates in the history of our tikkun. One is the sin of Adam, that because of the sin of Adam, the original state of harmony has been broken. Everything, all the holy worlds collapsed, the system collapsed, fell into the klipot, and from there we get pain and misery, suffering, despair, all the stuff that plague us daily, and that originates in the sin of Adam. The second date is the sin of the golden calf. Why? There's a correlation. The same way Adam was going up the hill, up the ladder, up the sefirot of the tree of life, one sefirah after another, correcting, making a tikkun, climbing, developing, improving. Then in a special place, it's not the issue right now, but there was a mistake. It doesn't matter what the mistake is. The mistake created what we call the fall of Adam, and then humanity fell into this terrible state of suffering and misery, death, and so on, that we suffer from that till today. However, there was one event that could repair that destruction, that disaster of the sin of Adam. And that event was Mount Sinai revelation. Can you imagine the power that it was involved with the 10 plagues of Egypt, and then getting the Israelites outside, splitting the Red Sea, the manna from the heaven? That was such an investment of really from above, changing and transforming all of history, because when Moses is coming with the tablets on the 17th of Tammuz, 40 days after he went up to the mount, if he came down and the people did not sin, we are talking about a fast track towards repairing the sin of Adam. That did not happen. So therefore, it's like we could have been right now in a totally different place since the Mount Sinai revelation, all of humanity, and we mess it up again. And the symptoms are very similar because Adam was in a place of such an amazing Garden of Eden. It's like, what can you say about it? An amazing place. You can't even imagine getting up in the morning and you are in the Garden of Eden, and you have nothing to be afraid of, nothing to face that is aching. Pain is not part of the picture, okay? And then the nation of Israel are in the same position from Mount Sinai revelation for 40 days till Moses is coming down with the tablets. And then there's something that is very symbolic, because the legends are saying that basically, if Adam went on with the process of tikkun, of the tree of life, in a very spiritual manner, without a body that needs to die, without darkness to overcome. Okay, he was in a space or in a level, a state of mind that is so much above our physical world, with no limitations, with no physical brain like we have, with no fears and phobias. Okay, and then when we're talking about the nation of Israel, they're going to this very similar thing. 40 days, Moses on the mount, and the Israelites are also in a place of no fear, no pain, no anxiety. And then the legend is saying that Adam sinned 6 hours before he made it. If he just waited, if he just held on in that state of mind of wholeness and love and completion for 6 more hours with his spiritual work, there would be an end to suffering. There won't be any suffering coming even to manifest. We wouldn't even know we missed it. And then, if you go to the Parashat Ki-Tisa, chapter 32, verse 1, Vayar ha'am ki boshesh Moshe laradet min ha'ar. And the people saw that Moses is delayed from coming from the mount. Okay, what does it mean? What I just read? So Rashi said, Boshesh, leshon ichur, being delayed, being late. Okay? And then Rashi adds, Ki kshe'ala Moshe la'ar, when Moses went up to the mount, Amar lahem, he told them, Lesof 40 yom ani ba betoch 6 shot. 40 days from now I'm coming, and 6 hours. So they thought that within the count of the 40 days is that day that he went up to the mount. And they were wrong about it. Okay? And then, but when it says they were missing the fact and thought that Moses, somebody, no food, no drinking, 40 days on the mount, he's probably dead. But the word boshesh is also in Hebrew not just delayed, beshesh, within 6 hours. If the Israelite waited 6 more hours, they won't be missing the opportunity to bring end to suffering and misery. So there is like what Adam had to go through, the Israelites had to go also through, which means being in a state of mind of total faith that is stronger than any logical fears. And we know how we fall into it. That's one of our biggest downfalls. When we, deep inside, we know that there's someone protecting us every day, that the Creator is there with us every moment. And if we just counted on our intellect and our actions, nothing will be really good. However, there are always those like 6 hours, period. I'm not talking about physical 6 hours, but there's always this moment you have to make this quantum leap of faith, the leap of faith that I don't understand, but I have to wait, have patience and trust. That's where we fall. Because here we are in the aftermath of the sin of the golden calf, and we have to deal with the result of not being able to wait, not being able to hold on to faith, certainty, and completion, although our brain is starting to go to race with what will happen if he's not coming in 6 hours. There's no way he's going to come in 6 hours because he's already 40 days. He's probably dead. Okay, stuff like this. So still, making a golden calf after all what they saw, the 10 plagues, the pillar of smoke, the pillar of fire, splitting the Red Sea, being on a level of prophecy like never before and never after almost. During the splitting the Red Sea, and even higher than that, on Mount Sinai, eating the manna from the heavens, and making a golden calf. This is illogical. You know, we look at we read the story in astonishment, because, normal people look at it and say, I wouldn't do that. 40 days, 40 years, I want to do something. If I saw what they saw, there's no way I'm going to make a golden calf. How could they do that? So the point is not trying to gossip and try to find what was wrong with the Israelites, because it says, Al tadon et chavercha shelo tagia limkomo. Never, ever judge another person unless you are in his place, in his shoes. Okay? You haven't been there. You don't remember being there. So you don't understand what happened, that they did whatever they did. So what's in it for us? Why do we have to read this parasha? And the message of this parasha is enormous, because it's like the concentration of all what we have to face day by day in our lives. And if we get the message of this parasha, we are immune to any fall and any mistake, because we're humans and we make mistakes, and that's what this parasha is about. So let's see first how terrible it is. Remember, first of all, like very simple, in the most childish way, you've seen 10 plagues that hit and plague Egypt, the biggest, the strongest empire of dark magic and all the dark powers possible. Okay? You've seen there as a slave, you see the impossible happen, and the Egyptians send you away. But that's not enough. You walk in the desert and there's a pillar of smoke and a pillar of fire. Okay? And then you come to the Red Sea and you've seen such a miracle. You cross the sea over, you walk over the sea, and the Egyptian army, your nemesis, your enemy, for so many years, since you remember yourself, and they drown, and you experience this prophetic vision, and the whole nation is singing together the song of the Red Sea. Think about it. The song of the Red Sea is before Mount Sinai revelation, okay? And everybody experiences it together. And it's not enough. There's the manna. You live without physical food. You live over a spiritual food that does not make you sick, doesn't make you fat. It heals you instead of creating high sugar, high cholesterol, stuff like this. Your body becomes so spiritual. And then Mount Sinai revelation. How could you do something like this? And more than that, remember what we learned in the previous parashot. On Parashat Yitro, the nation of Israel reaches such a high place like no one ever achieved. Not a prophet, not a sage, like a prophetic level of out-of-body experience of a whole nation of millions, seeing all the laws. And Moses goes up to the mount, and what we read after Parashat Yitro, Mishpatim, Truma, Tetzaveh, we are still on that place. As the sages are saying, if Mount Sinai revelation is the wedding between the nation of Israel, the bride, and the holy blessed be he, the groom, we are still in the middle of the wedding. And even Parashat Ki-Tisa does not start with the sin of the golden calf. It starts with other stuff, with still Mount Sinai revelation. So within the wedding, we make a golden calf. It's like the bride is betraying the groom when she's still under the chuppah in the wedding. The witnesses are standing there. The bride is there. The rabbi is reading the ketubah, whatever, and she's betraying in front of everybody. Like, how could that happen? And another thing, how could that be forgiven? And that's the most important thing. Because if we read the Parashat Ki-Tisa from the beginning to the end, we have an amazing way to understand the moments in our lives that we are just standing there with a shock. How could I do that? How can I trust myself? How could I do something so outrageous? And usually, in most religious dogmas, the answer is very simple. You're doomed forever. There's no forgiveness. You're doomed forever. And here, what the sages are teaching us, that saying to yourself that you're doomed forever, this is the religion of the dark side. Why? Because you are human, and humans make mistakes. And not just mistakes. Humans make terrible mistakes, horrible mistakes. And and what is the Torah about? You made the mistake, no matter how horrible the mistake is. You have to get up and start all over again. There are no excuses saying that you're doomed forever. Okay? And it's very hard to have a faith of that kind. Why? One of the biggest downfalls is giving up. And as we know, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov is saying many times, "En shum yeush ba'olam." Giving up, despair, is impossible. It's not an option. Rabbi Ashlag is saying, what is despair? Old age, aging. What is aging? When you lose hope. When you don't have hope, you're just waiting for that. It's never going to be better. And then what does it mean? That aging is a criminal offense, says Rabbi Ashlag. That is death sentenced. Why? You gave up. You gave up. You went against Parashat Ki-Tisa. Leave the whole Torah outside. Just Parashat Ki-Tisa. How do we learn that from Parashat Ki-Tisa? So I don't want to go into the detail because there's so many details in the parasha. So many details. And however, remember, the Israelites are making a calf. Okay, so some say they didn't think even for a moment the calf is God. They wanted to replace Moses with another leader. So the calf was instead of that. And it says about it because it doesn't say they wanted another God. It says they want another leader. Go back to chapter 32, verse 1. And the people saw that Moses is delayed. And the people gathered on top of Aaron, and they said to him, get up and make us a God. Not the God, a God. We need a guide. We need somebody so powerful that we will follow. They did not want somebody to replace the eternal God in the heavens. They wanted something godly as Moses. Okay? That's most of the commentaries. Okay? As they do that, I'm skipping right now to verse 7. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe, and God speaks to Moses. Lech red ki shichet amcha. Get down, because your nation has corrupted. The nation, your nation that you got out of Egypt. How come it became Moses' nation? When Moses met, God, in the story of the burning bush, God said, go and send and take my people out of Egypt. Here it says, it's your people. You know, it is like a child is misbehaving and the mother and the father is coming home from work and the mother is saying, look what your child has done. Oh, since when it's my child? Okay, I thought it's our child. But there's something very important over here. The many, many layers. And it continues. And they went away and they made a calf and they bow down to him and they and bring offerings to him. And they say, these are your gods, Israel. They took you out of this land of Egypt. And then God's continue. I see that this nation, verse 9, I've seen that this nation is hard-necked people. And now leave me alone. Don't stop me. And my wrath will destroy them, consume them. I'll make you a new nation, a big nation. And then comes Vayichal Moshe et Pnei Adonai Eloav, verse 11, chapter 32 in the book of Exodus. Vayomer Moshe, Lama Adonai Yechri Apcha B'amecha shehotzeta me'eretz Mitzrayim. And Moses is like, in an instant, is there, do not dare doing that. And even says Moses, if you do that, forget about me, I'm not in it. Mechenina, erase me from your book. I'm not part of it. Don't make me another nation. I'm not cooperating. What? That's how you speak to God? And more than that. And more than that. We'll see later on. Verse 14. And God changed his mind about that trouble that he wanted, that he spoke to do to his nation. They're still celebrating with the golden calf, and God is already, no, I'm not going to kill them. Okay, now what is the message over here? What is the message over here? So the Arizal is saying Moses was a reincarnation of Noah. Noah, the story is that when Noah comes out of the ark and he sees the disaster, the desolation, the death, nobody is alive. He cries and he prays to God, God, how could you do that? These are your creatures. And God says, now you're talking, now you're praying. Why didn't you pray beforehand? Okay, you'll have another option. What's the other option? Noah is coming back in another lifetime as Moshe Rabbeinu, as Moses. So the word that God is using about the nation, he says, Lechet ki shichet amcha. Come down because your nation has corrupted. The word is shichet. If you go to the story of the flood, this verb appears there few times about describing what that generation were doing. Shichet. It has many aspects, this special verb. It's about corruption, but there are many layers to it. And it's not, this verb does not appear that many times. Okay, so that's why the Arizal is saying, Heref imeni, remember what we said, that God says, Hanicha mimeni. Leave me alone, don't hold me from doing that, I'll destroy them. So Moses is like, here it goes again. They mess it up again, the same, and it was the same souls that were eliminated during the flood. They came to fix and correct their sins in Egypt. And because they did not finish drowning, that's why all the male-borns had to be drowned in the Nile. And because later on they came and messed it up again with the Tower of Babel, that was about building a tower with bricks. Here they had to build towers and walls and cities with bricks in Egypt. So for Moses, it was his tikkun, because that's why, as the Arizal is saying, God is hinting Moses. He sees that Moses goes, here it goes again. What can I do? I couldn't do it in the past time, and not now. And that's why God says, hints him, Hanichali. Where's the verse? Just a second. Oh, it's in verse 10. And now leave me alone. And it's like Moses, like, I'm not holding him. Oh, that's my tikkun. That's my calling. I came to this world for many things, but this is the correction of my past life. Okay? And the same thing that God says to Noah, I'll make from you a new nation. Okay? Here it goes again. No. Immediately, Moses is Vayichal Moshe. Moses is trying to appease God. So, but why God has to play this game? And the answer is very simple. The answer is very simple. The answer is that we have to understand that we are the people, and people are in bodies, and people make mistakes. Religion is not about, or Judaism, or the Torah, Mount Sinai revelation. The message that came on Mount Sinai is not about we are here to be perfect. Perfection, it's in the Garden of Eden. As long as you're in a body, and tzaddik seyaseh tov v'lo yachta, there's no righteous person that will do only good without sin. The question is, as we learned many times, Sheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. King Solomon says in the book of Proverbs, a righteous person will fall 7 times and he will rise up again. The whole point is rising up again. Yes, there was an option that we did not commit the sin of the golden calf. This is not the movie we're in. We're in another movie. And in this movie, you have always, if they give you a lemon, make a lemonade. And therefore, the question is, okay, we fell. Looking backwards and saying we fell, we are doomed, this is not the Torah. I'll give you another example. When Moses is praying to God to ask for forgiveness, there are two issues. One of them is chapter 33 in the book of Exodus, verse 7. And Moses, they sinned. They made the golden calf. They were totally in a terrible place. And, some say only the Erev made the golden calf. The other Israelites did not do it. Yes? But they did not stop doing it. And we know very well the greatest atrocities, you can't just blame the ones who did it. You have to also see that the ones who witness it without stopping it, which is called like the silent majority. Because you were silent, you have to take responsibility also. You let them do that, so you committed the crime yourself. And Moses sees that, and he sees the shame and the blame. And as we said, verse 7 in chapter 33, and Moses took the tent, and he put the tent outside the camp, far away from the camp. And he called it the tent of gathering. So whoever wanted to connect to Hashem had to go out of the camp, farther away. And there's a whole description about Vaya kivo Moshe Oela, and when Moses came to the tent of the gathering, the Yarad Amud Anan va'amad petach Oel, the Diber Moshe. Everybody could see how the cloud came down to the entrance of the tent and spoke with Moses. Everybody saw that. Okay. Rabbi Ashlag says something very important that we need to really consider, that in order to understand the scope of what do I do with this issue of the golden calf. Are we that terrible? 10 plagues. Pillar of fire, pillar of smoke, manna, Red Sea, Mount Sinai, Revelation. That's not enough. We're still going on with the same old things. We all know about ourselves. And the answer is one of them. Rabbi Ashlag says as follows. About this verse that we just read, that Moses put the tent of gathering far away outside the camp of the Israelites. Okay? And that's how Rabbi Ashlag says, Kisvurim atipshim, the fools think, שמשה עשה זאת כדי להשבית שטף מעיין החוכמה מסיבת חטא העגל. The fools think that Moses did that in order to stop the flow of the spring of wisdom because of the sin of the calf. God forbid, chas v'shalom l'malken, God forbid saying that. But that's obvious. Our brain looks at it and it's obvious. You did a golden calf. You cannot connect to God's wisdom anymore like this. Okay? God forbid to say like this. Lo ya'ale al hadat, you can't even think this way. כי אחרי החטא צריכים היו בני ישראל למעיינות התורה והחוכמה 1,000 יותר מתחילה. After the sin, they fell so deep. They needed the founders of Torah and wisdom thousands and thousands of times more than before. As the sages said in the Talmud, Nedarim Kaf Bet Aleph, Tractate Nedarim, page 22a, אלמלא לא חטאו ישראל לא היה להם אלא ספר התורה וישוע בלבד. If there was no sin of the golden calf, the 5 books of Moses was enough for the nation of Israel. That would be enough. Why do we have the rest of the Tanakh? Why do we need the Mishnah and the Gemara? Because it was not enough. And then it says like this, הסגולה, הנאמנה, לפתוח מעיינות החוכמה. What is the סגולה? What is סגולה? What is the special trait, the special key in order to open the fountains of wisdom? That was שנטע משה אוהלו מחוץ למחנה. Because Moses put his tent outside the camp, נתרבתה השתוקקות אליו בתוך המחנה. It made people crave and feel lack for the wisdom. כי אינו דומה מי שיש לו פת בסלו למי שאין לו פת בסלו. Rabbi Ashlag brings an example. Somebody that his basket is full with bread is not like somebody that his basket is empty. The one who has a basket full of bread, who's satiated, he has no cravings. He's not hungry. וכך זכו לדבקות במשה ולהתפשטות נשמת משה ביניהם. So the whole thing about taking the tent of gathering outside the camp was in order to bring people to more cravings And when people had such a craving, they merit to attach the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu and to have the soul of Moses come in them. What? It doesn't speak about, when we make mistakes of big scale, we walk around with shame. We walk around depressed. We beat ourselves. We think that going around with big shame is going to fix it. And there's nothing about it. It belongs to another religion, the religion of the dark side. When somebody makes a mistake in the biggest scale, sitting there and feeling guilty is not going to fix the problem. This is what we learn over here. Although we feel so righteous, sitting there with the shame and with the guilt, because I'm punishing myself. I hate myself. People say horrible stuff about themselves. And the Zohar says, never, ever, especially the Zohar here, mention bad words about yourself, but I deserve it. Let God decide. You are here for one job, and your job is tikkun. How do you achieve tikkun if you are feeling guilty, ashamed, and upset about yourself, and you hate with self-hate? And you know what? You cannot give what you don't have inside. If you are full with hatred towards oneself, when I'm full with guilt and shame, can I love others as I love myself? Impossible. This is impossible. Can I pray? The Talmud, the Zohar say you cannot pray to God when you cannot serve God. You cannot make any tikkunim when you're obsessed with shame and guilt. But I messed up. What should I do? Go against your nature. What is the real spiritual aspect of life? Overcoming the darkness. What's overcoming the darkness? The shame and the guilt. But I messed up. I deserve punishment. Shame and guilt are not a punishment. Shame and guilt means you continue the sin. That's what it means. These are the words of Rabbi Ashlag. Moses put the tent outside the camp to create cravings so people run after the wisdom. Instead of, you would think, but that's another religion again. It's not the religion of the Torah. Because God forgave. How long? How many verses Moses is asking for forgiveness? Okay, let's see. With the whole story. Where were we? Verse 11, chapter 32, till verse 13. That was enough. 11, 12, 13, 3 verses. And God just, okay, I'm not going to do it. It's like God was waiting for that. Why? Just think about it. What is the purpose of the whole creation? To share pleasure, bliss, and love with the creatures. They messed up, okay? Punishing them by destroying them, smiting them forever, how would that serve the purpose? It won't, okay? The story goes on because Moses is continuing, turning back to God. God said already, I forgave. I'm not going to kill them. Verse 12 in chapter 33. ויאמר משה אל אדוני, ראה אתה אומר עליי, העל את העם הזה. Look, you told me to bring this nation up. ואתה לא דעתני את אשר תשלח עמי. ואתה אמרת את דעתיך בשם גם מצאתי חן בעיניי. מצאת חן בעיניי. You told me, God, that I find grace in your eyes. And by the way, chen, says the Arizal, the same letters as Noach. ואתה אם מצאתי חן בעיניך, and again, if I find grace in your eyes, הודיעני נא את דרכיך. Show me your ways. Just a second. Wasn't Moses on the mount for 40 days? What else is there to learn? So, the great Rabbi Nissim Peretz of blessed memory says, Moses is saying simply, God, you told us, you taught us that you created the evil inclination so we can overcome the evil inclination. And by this, we can earn and merit your light. You said you created an evil inclination and you gave us the Torah as a remedy. Didn't work. It's not enough. Show me our ways. What does it mean? We need something stronger. You gave us the medicine, and the medicine lasted for 40 days. That's not enough. Gave us a medicine that is stronger than just the Torah itself. Show me your glory. And God doesn't say, how dare you? You're not ashamed. Look what I've done. I'm upset. I can't forget. No. God says, I will forgive, and I will have mercy. And after that, he tells Moses, come up to the mount with the second 2 tablets. Okay? And then the eternal words of Shmot Lamedaled, Exodus 34, verse 5. Vayered Adonai be'anan, vayityatzeb imosham. And God came down in a cloud, and he stood with him over there. Vayikra b'shem Hashem, and he calls in the name of God. And here it says in chapter 34, verse 6, Vayavor Adonai ad panav vayikra, Adonai Adonai el rachum v'chanun, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטאה ונקה. The 13 attributes. You have to remember, says Rav Nissim Peretz, the Torah is Zeir Anpin. What is Zeir Anpin? We are in the level that is called Malchut, Olam Asiyah. That's the mundane frequency of reality, that you have a mixture of spiritual and physical. And our job is to sanctify the physical, to redeem the body. En tikkun ela beguf, you cannot make a tikkun unless you're in a body. How do you do that? You always rise and raise, as we learned in the previous parashot, you raise the mundane physical reality and you insert holiness within. You bring Malchut up to Zeir Anpin, and by this you sanctify reality, everything, food, sex, money, home, products, commerce, business, everything has a holy aspect, right? Everything has a holy aspect. That's very different than the dark ages of religion. Oh, there's a holy, and the people are not, what can I do? We're not holy. It's like we will stay like this. Same thing, remember. If you believe in guilt and shame and so on, you're not part of monotheism. You're not part of the religion of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're not part of what happened on Mount Sinai. There's another made-up religion that is based on manipulations of people, because when people are full with guilt, they're powerless and they're very easy to manipulate and control. This is an extension of the religion of idol worshiping. While what we are talking about over here, Moses says to God, connecting to Zeir Anpin, connecting to the spiritual realm, is not good enough because it's not strong enough to convert the physical body to become holy. And God is giving the 13 attributes. And what are the 13 attributes? And the Zohar is teaching us that the 13 attributes they're basically a connection not to Zeranpin, not to Bina, which is above Zeranpin, not to Chokhmah, which is above Bina, but to Keter, to the same place. If we remember, when we go to Parashat Beshalach, when Am Yisrael is standing over the Red Sea, no hope whatsoever, no logical hope. And why did they come over there? Why did God, instead of walking them straight eastward towards the promised land, they had to go around, down, hundreds of kilometers down, and then cross the Red Sea? The Red Sea is like, look at the map. And the answer is because God wanted them to experience the splitting of the Red Sea, which is connecting to what? Connecting to the total illogical place of Sfirat Keter. And what is Sfirat Keter? The Atik, the Masala. And the Atik and the Masala, this is the place that you're not connecting to anything of logic, physics, or anything that is of the law. You're connecting to one thing. I'm connecting to only one thing, God's love to me. And it's unconditional. It's endless. It's beyond any anger, and it's beyond, and there's no mistake I can make, no sin I can commit that is going to change God's love to me. And when I'm connecting to that, there's nothing that can stop that love of God to save me from any possible threat. That's what the Creator wanted Am Yisrael to feel, to experience on the Red Sea. And that is called the Masala. Masala, we said it's coming from the Hebrew word mazal, which is coming from the Shoresh nazal, flow, which means opening the source of flow of grace and love towards the creation. When you reach that place, everything is possible. When you reach that place, you become godly. You know what? Maybe just for a split second, but that's enough to bring the mazala, to bring the flow down and transform reality into something that is totally out of logic. That is what is called quantum leap, a leap of faith. When you come to that place of, we spoke about it, Parashat Beshalach, of complete silence, without the noise. I don't deserve it. Look what I've done. I'm too small. The world is terrible. The world is, without that, just connecting to the Masala. Now, God gave us another tool. The 13 attributes are coming down from that Masala. They're basically, as the Zohar calls it, these are 13 white pipes of mercy and love, bringing down the light of God without any limitations. When you draw that in, everything of reality will transform. And that is the complete forgiveness. The forgiveness is not coming out of, I was upset, and now, okay, I'll forgive. It's like, guys, you messed up. Here, take this to clean yourself. So the 13 attributes are a present that was given because Moses, instead of being in shame and guilt, look what I've done. They're my people. We'll never make it. He doesn't say that. That's not an option. He says, okay, God, I know that your giving is much bigger than our receiving. So give us what will help us to overcome our own habits. Look, we've been there through such amazing stuff and we're still falling. The evil inclination is stronger. We need a stronger tool. Here it is, the 13 attributes. What is 13? 13 is ahava, the numerical value of love. Echad, one. De'aga, caring. It's all there. So the gift is like this, because what Moses is saying, which is another amazing saying before, in a way, Moses is giving us a prophecy, because what Moses is saying is very simple. I thought that I'll bring down the golden calf. I'm bringing down the 2 tablets, the first 2 tablets. And the whole nation will reach that level of Adam before the sin. From now on, we'll spread the message, all of us in unity, to the rest of the nations. And in no time, we'll bring the whole of humanity into the age of total redemption. That was it. But now it's a different story. The story is that we did sin. We didn't fall back. We did not fall back that much as we've been in Egypt. Our state is much better, but that's a big problem. Why? The nation of Israel went up huge amount of spiritual growth. The dirt of the sin of Adam is being eliminated. Okay? We fell back, but we fell back not all the way down to where we have been before the Exodus. Okay? And Moses says, from now on, we will carry the message of the Torah. We'll carry the message. We'll have to work hard to bring it to the whole world for the next thousands of years till everybody is going to get it. And then verse 17, chapter 33. Halo belechtecha imanu, you God, you're going to walk with us on earth, wherever we go, with our message. But we are not that powerful as I thought we will be if we don't make the sin. We're still under the power of the evil inclination. ונפלינו אני ועמך מכל העם אשר על פני האדמה. And we will be discriminated by all the nations on earth. Wow. This is Exodus. For thousands of years, says this nation will be discriminated. Why? We will never be like the others. And you know the nature of people, humans. If someone is not like you, you discriminate them, you persecute them, you can't stand them because they're different. Not different, good or bad, they're different. In this case, you're different because you carry the message. And Moses is saying, without an extra power, we won't be able to make it. They'll hate us for being different. And that's how we get the second tablets and the 13 attributes. So we learn an amazing message. It's so powerful. It's so important. It's like shame and guilt are good for nothing. They do not belong to God's religion. They do not belong to the Torah. It's you fell, got up. Nafalta, takum. And this is so important that we have to remember that message, because the Torah that we know was given to the nation that sinned, that fell. And giving up is not an option. Having guilt and being frozen with the guilt is not an option. Why? There's a job to be done. How do you do that? How do you get up and make yourself happy? How could you be happy? You're sinful. You're born in sin. This is not the message over here. You sin, you fall. Look, there was the golden calf. There's not logically, there's no way to do something worse than that. And you know what? There's a forgiveness. Not just a forgiveness, we get even more powers, more resources. Because we have to remember, God's love towards each one of us cannot be tarnished by any of our behavior, because his will is that we do our job and come to completion. He can never say to us, oh, it comes to you, you fell, I'm upset with you, I'm disappointed. He's our Father in heaven. He's not a physical father that can be disappointed. Okay, you fell, get up, continue. Go on, move up. Okay, it's okay, you fell. You made a mistake. He's not hurt, he's not upset. We cannot change it. If we just remember that message 24/7, we are good to go. Because there's no obstacle we cannot overcome. There's no negativity we cannot transform. There's no darkness we cannot bring light into it. Just remember that the love of the Creator is so strong that how deep we fall and how terrible are our mistakes, we can never stop his love and stop ourselves from getting up, making ourselves happy. Because, look, if somebody loves you that much, shouldn't you be happy all the time? If you know somebody is loving you and he's endless and he cannot change it, won't you be endlessly happy? Don't we have to remind it to ourselves every moment and to be thankful for that we cannot stop this eternal love and this eternal flow of love and wisdom and power. And the more we need, we just have to ask for it and we will receive. Thank you so much and have a really powerful week.